Mr. Speaker.
Call the Honourable Annette King.
Mr. Speaker, you know, 2009 was the year of the ox. And I think it aptly named the National Party in government because an ox is a castrated bull. And John Key and his cabinet spent 2009 acting like castrated bulls. They had the semblance of the equipment that they needed to make an impact, but they lacked the necessaries to drive home their agenda. So instead of seeing some bold ideas in action, we spent the entire year of 2009 witnessing lots of grinning and lots of spinning, lots of flipping and lots of flopping, over 40 reviews and inquiries, thousands of photo opportunities, lots of bluster and blatherskite. But, Mr. Speaker, wait. It is now the year of the tiger. Now, the tiger is a very dynamic beast, indeed, a very forceful beast, ready to spring into action. So, with a drum roll and with breathless anticipation, today we waited for the tiger to pounce. We waited to get the motorway to the future. We were waiting for Big Tuesday to be a winner for all New Zealanders. We were waiting for ambiguous for New Zealand to become ambitious for New Zealand, as we were promised. And we waited for John Key to reach his own national standard. But what did we get from the Prime Minister today for his much-hyped program of action? Well, I think Bernard Hickey got it right. Go and look at some of the commentators. Bernard Hickey said, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's a clear message to leave New Zealand now." I have to say that the Prime Minister's statement has been described, particularly by my colleague Grant Robertson, as looking at a late-night television guide. It's full of repeats, repeats after repeat after repeat. John Key announced today over 50 repeat policies. Over 50 repeat policies. 50 old policies, some of them were ours, I have to say. And this is supposed to represent a step change to the future. 50 policies that had already announced. Old Kopu Bridge got rolled out yet again. In fact, the entire transport portfolio, which we'd already announced when we were in government started, rolled out again as new policy today. You see, 2009 was the year of reviews and inquiries. For 2010, this year it's going to be replaced, those inquiries and reviews. And I went through the speech, and this is what it's going to be replaced with. Such actions, such as looking at issues. They're going to be looking at issues. They're going to be putting out discussion documents. They're going to be developing some action plans. They're going to consider reports. They're going to do a little bit of reviewing, developing a few policies, setting up a working group. Wait, establishing an advisory group. Is that a step change to the future, Mr. Speaker? And what are the commentators saying? Well, within minutes of that speech, that so-called world-shattering speech, the greatest speech he was ever going to make as Prime Minister, what are they saying? Bernard Hickey said, today he did nothing. He did worse than nothing. He said he shut down debate. Bernard Hickey went on and said, he's finally shown his colours. He's a mediocre leader without vision or the ability to change New Zealand. He is a seat warmer who's too scared to scare the masses. This is Bernard Hickey, one of theirs, one of the national parties. He also said he's saying he wants to get re-elected. How uninspiring, how pedestrian. He's saying he is not a real leader. What does Brian Fallow say, a well-respected business commentator? He said, business is unlikely to be blown away by the boldness of the vision outlined in today's agenda-setting speech. Indeed, he said, the average thistledown wouldn't be blown away. And then we have have John Armstrong, probably one of the foremost political commentators in New Zealand. What did John Armstrong say within minutes of hearing it? Keys, quick march, a little more than a crawl. Quick march, a little more than a crawl. But the dozy of them all is David Farrar. I mean, the great blogger who runs National Party's lines. I've got a great lot of respect for David Farrar, actually, believe it or not. And in fact, I do today, because he said that speech was a B-grade effort. It really was like a repeat movie from the past. It was a B-grade effort. But you know, New Zealanders should not be surprised that today was about hype and not action, because the signs were all there before John Key became the Prime Minister of this country. We knew that John Key's government was going to be all mouth and no trousers. All mouth and no trousers. Because it was obvious before the election, because remember when he went to Magee and Close, the street that John Key, as Phil Goff has already said today, he called Dead End, the place where the rungs of the ladder of opportunity have broken, where he pulled up in his limo, his VIP limo, and took an innocent 12-year-old girl to Waitangi to parade her in front of the media, not for her benefit, but for his photo opportunity. And remember the job he arranged for the mother, for Joan? Remember the job arranged before the election with great fanfare? She was given a job. She was given an aspirational future, as my colleague said. Well, what happened? This was all aimed at showing New Zealanders he, the former State House boy, could relate to Struggle Street and he could fix the problems they had. Well, Mr. Speaker, it's all turned out to be a big fat lie, because there has been no road paved with gold for Struggle Street. In fact, there's been no street at all for them. And Mrs. Nathan said on Sunday she is worse off under Mr. Key. She's even lost the job that he got soon after he got elected. Mr. Speaker, she represents thousands of Kiwis who have suffered over this last year, and today they were looking to see what was in this forward-looking visionary package from the Prime Minister, and like Mrs. Nathan, they are going to be used, they're going to be abused, and they are going to be dumped. Because where was the fairness in that speech for hard-working Kiwis for them to get ahead? Where is the plan for the 3,500 Kiwis who queued up for 150 supermarket jobs? Where was the plan for the 200 people that applied for a single job in a pet shop in Wanganui? John Key said unemployment had levelled out at 7%. It is still going up, Mr. Key. And last week, the Australian government released a major report called the 2010 Intergenerational Report, which looks at their country from 2010 to 2050. And Brian Gaynor, a respected business journalist, said it showed that they were a far more forward-looking government than the one we have got in New Zealand. And he pointed out that if we do not create more high-paying jobs for our 15 to 24-year-olds, the flow across the Tasman will increase. Is there anything in this statement from Mr. Key that will turn around those shameful unemployment statistics? Is there anything that will close the gap with Australia? No, there is absolutely not. What about the pre-election promise of the fresh start for young New Zealanders? John Key claimed before the election there were 25,000 young New Zealanders who did not have any qualifications when they left school. They had no education and no training. So what happened to the promise that there would be a universal access to all those young people under 18 years of age? There are now 43,000 of them, not 25,000, 43, and you know what the promise has been to them to the election in 2011? 4,000 positions for 43,000 young people. The vision, the promise is 4,000 guaranteed